Hi, welcome to agriculturepost.com. Today we have with us Mr. Mohit Pande, who is the Chief Operating Officer of India's earliest Agritech companies, CropIn Technologies. CropIn Technologies started providing technological services in agriculture sector in 2010 when digitization was a very new thing. So how has been their journey, how has been their challenges in the early stage, and how the transformation came into place, and how they are seeing the next 10 years technological transformation into agriculture sector, we are going to show you. Is one of the oldest agri-tech companies in India. It is more than a decade. So how has been the technological transformation taken place in one decade in agriculture sector, which would have a good impact for the future also?
CropIn started in 2010. At that time, we started with a bold vision of transforming agriculture and food ecosystem using the power of technology and data. Now at that time you can appreciate that we did not have smartphones. Farmers definitely could not afford even feature phones. There was no mobile 5G available at that point in time. At best we had 2G. Most farms did not have any signal. So we started the company at that point in time with a vision to transform agriculture using technology. Now we've come a long way through that. First we started off with a digitization platform. Digitization is still a very large opportunity, but if you can appreciate at that point, large companies worked with farmers and most of the whole farm management was done either on pen and paper or on spreadsheets and Excel. So CropIn created a platform called CropIn Grow. It used to be earlier called Smart Farm. We've rebranded it to CropIn Grow. Which allowed companies to manage very large-scale farming operations using technology. So obviously, as we built that platform, we built it in a way that it could work with first smallholder farmers. We started from India, then again we've grown globally across 90 countries. But it could work with feature phones. It can work with offline modes. It can work across a variety of farming operation, different crops, different kinds of languages, different kinds of measurement systems, package of practices for different agriculture practices and so on and so forth. So we actually very quickly grew with that platform, not just in India, but also with multinational companies outside of India as well. Today we are present with that platform in across 90 countries. We manage over 500 crops, 10,000 crop varieties on that platform. So it's a very robust, highly scalable, global scale platform. We are a B2B Agritech company. So we don't sell to farmers directly, but we sell to companies who work with farmers, because we do believe in our vision that if we can enable companies who work with farmers, we are able to scale faster. And in spite of that, we have over 7 million farmers who work, engage on our platform. As we were, kind of building this platform, we realized that we have gathering a lot of knowledge regarding different crops, like 90 countries, 500 crops, 10,000 crop varieties. So we know, for example, how rice grows in Pacific Northwest in the US, in Punjab and in Thailand. So we started building an intelligence platform on that. So we formed what is known as CropIn AI Labs, which is basically a combination of deep agronomy, earth observation, which is remote sensing, satellite imagery, weather data and all, and then data science. So we brought all of these together to create an intelligence platform called CropIn Cloud, which allows companies to go very deep in terms of predictive intelligence on a plot of land. So we can go down to a 3 by 3 meter of land and we can predict things in the future, like what can the yield be, what is the crop health, what is the
soil moisture.
We can measure some parts of that as well. What is the crop stage, disease early warning, so we can predict most diseases for most crops 7 to 15 days in advance. What is the carbon footprint? Are there any water stresses on the field? How do you optimize irrigation? So, things like these, if there are any nitrogen stress or nutrient stress. So, companies are benefited in many ways using this technology. So, you can optimize, let's say, on sustainability related parameters. You can optimize water, chemical spraying or fertilizer spraying. You know when to spray, when not to spray. You can figure out what is the carbon related thing. So, we can do things like finding, agricultural practices where till, no till. So sustainable practices essentially, climate smart agriculture essentially. So this benefits farmers a lot. It helps them increase their yield, and of course then that helps the companies also. We also build intelligence on large scale, which means we can now compute villages, states, districts, even countries. So, for example, we very regularly do projects in Africa where we compute countries for the whole crop. We can figure out, first we can detect whether it's an agriculture land or forest land or urban land, then what kind of crops are growing in a large country, this thing. And then from there find out the acreages of those crops, find out how is the sowing progressing, there, how is the harvest progressing, are there any disease pressures in a particular area, is there a water pressure in a particular area, so are there any inclement or untoward climate incidences which are going to come in, how will that impact the yield and the produce and so on. So this is very useful for governments, large social development agencies. If they want to find out that how much of, let's say, a wheat is growing in Nigeria, we can predict that. We can go down by states, by districts, by counties in those places, and go down to the granular level. So that helps different kinds of organizations solve different commodity companies. They can find out these kind of things. Sustainability, like the European Union deforestation regulation. Most companies who want to sell in the EU by 2024 need to certify that they are procuring from non-deforested land. Now, technology is the biggest enabler in that. So we can figure out if a farm was, built on a deforested land, or if it is encroaching on forest land, or if reforestation efforts are taken. So today, I think while agriculture has come a long way, so has technology, which helps both the farmers and companies manage agriculture in a better way, which is beneficial for the farmers, for the supply chain, for the whole food security and the ecosystem.
2010, digitization was a very new thing, particularly in agriculture sector, where farmers are having very little digital literacy even today now. So how has been challenging for CropIn Technology to think on it, to provide such type of solutions through technological platforms? So, and how has been the challenges, and how you see today that things have changed drastically?
Correct. So we always believe that for us to be able to create an impact on millions of farmers, it is the strategy which you took was to work with companies which work with those farmers, because they have the infrastructure to go deep down those places. So our first strategy was to enable these companies. So, right from their head office to their agronomists to their field agents, we empowered them using technology, using web-based or computer-based systems and mobile-based systems to go and work with farmers. So we gave them, they were able to digitize all the farming operations, and on the basis of that, we were able to build intelligence and tell it to them, and they went to those farmers and communicated. Then we enabled them to have applications which went into the hands of the farmers themselves. Now already these guys are talking to them on a technology platform, and with feet on street and people on the ground, they were able to train these farmers, because while as smartphones became more accessible, as new generation of people coming in, smartphones today, India is one of the largest smartphone penetrations in the world, and it is growing in rural areas mostly. So mostly everybody knows how to use a smartphone today. They are already using it to watch videos, television, and everything. Now this becomes an enabler in their earning income as well. So if a farmer gets a notification about rainfall in the next few days, or dry weather conditions, or the fact that there is going to be a disease infestation in the next few days, or there is a water stress in their farm, going there. So I think those are very useful information which creates interest for them to learn. All of these applications are also working both in online mode and offline mode when signal is not there. So it works in an offline mode and comes and updates at the back end. We are able to audit the farm boundaries, farm areas. They are able to get what's their produce going to be like. So this helps the company manage the supply chain, but also the farmer to be better prepared, in case there is less produce, more produce. We are working with companies who provide finance and insurance to these farmers. Now again, a farmer needs to produce or prove that what they were growing, what happened, what were the weather conditions. Now technology allows all of that to be done. So if they go with a claim for an insurance, we can tell that okay, there was a bad weather, a drought or a flood or anything, and they can do that. So this just enables farmers to adopt technology faster. Of course, they need to be trained.
Climate change is the biggest reality in today's world. The farmers and agriculture are the biggest vulnerable to climate change because it impacts largely on the weather patterns. We saw intensive heat, intensive rains within short spell rains, intensive winter season. Last year we saw the 4-degree rise in the temperature in April 2022 resulted in a loss of wheat productivity across the globe. This year we saw normal monsoon till August. September was a deficient, and we saw flash floods in the Himachal Pradesh in August, currently in Sikkim. So how Agritech is going to combat all the challenges so that the farmers and cannot get such vulnerabilities, and it would ensure the food security for the growing 1.4 billion people?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question because I think agriculture is most impacted by climate change, but is also a big contributor to climate change. As you know, that agriculture is one of the biggest contributors to carbon greenhouse gases, also coming out in there. So it needs to be managed in both ways. CropIn has a platform which allows farmers and companies to do climate smart agriculture. So as we have deep knowledge about different crops into different agri-climatic zones, we are able to use satellite imagery and weather data to find out what is the most optimum growing pattern for these crops, and hence start predicting crop health, crop stage based on different crop stages, and what are the kind of diseases, etc., which needs to be done. Also, because of climate change, the crop duration is getting impacted. Because of heat, sometimes the crop is maturing faster. If there is an inclemental weather condition, they need to actually do a harvest before something happens, or they need to be doing sprays, etc. So we constantly create machine learning models which are learning from the current weather patterns because it has historical data and they have learned from that, and now they are able to predict if there is a heavy rainfall which is predicted, what should a farmer do. So what should package of practices need to be followed at that point in time? When should the harvest, is it predicted, should they do early, late? In fact, we also are able to detect things like sustainable agriculture practices. Like, for example, tilling is a practice which releases a lot of greenhouse gases, and no tilling is a sort of a more preferable business practice. So we allow companies to certify some of those kind of things as well. As companies work with farmers and they need specific activities to be performed, we can even track some of these activities and look at crop health. So what is the greenness index, what is the NDVI index, what is the water LSTM index, and all of those things. So using a parameter of these machine learning models along with satellite imagery and weather data, we are able to build climate smart agricultural practices which helps farmers protect their crops, increase their yield, and have a better livelihood.
CropIn claims that it has data and monitoring on every acre of farmland across the planet. So how it is workable for the agriculture sector, how it is going to transform the agriculture sector in the future?
Yes. So this is our vision, is to be able to make every farm in this world intelligent, traceable, and predictable, so to say. So now basically what we do is we've got deep AI and machine learning models which we work with many kinds of satellite providers, many kind of weather providers, and continue to build very deep data. We have got generic models for most crops. So what we then do is that we are able to go down to a pixel of land by 3 by 3 meters, and that is what we call a pixel of land, and they are able to compute what kind of crop, what is the health. In fact, we can go historically as well to find out what was grown last season, and prior to that what was the yield like, and what was the possible diseases which could have happened. Now this empowers both farmers and companies who work with farmers in a very, very big way, because the farmer now knows that they are able to predict many things in advance, and they are able to do smart agriculture. companies know that they will be able to enable farmers with the right products, the right inputs at the right point in time for them to be able to be climate smart and also kind of get better produce and yields and all of the production in there. So we are also able to ensure that the best agriculture practices are followed. So so which are sustainable in nature, which can protect the environment as well. We are able to see that deforestation, for example, is controlled. Afforestation, comes to. So basically, we are empowering companies and farmers to take the right decisions at the right point in time to be able to manage better agriculture processes. We are also making the supply chain very transparent and clean. We have, because of all this technology, we can really create traceable and transparent ecosystems to know, what is being said is being followed, and you can trace it back from where it was produced, what agricultural practices were taken care of. People are becoming very, very conscious of their food choices, right? Whether it's organic food or any other certified food, and they are ready to pay a lot more for that, and hence we are able to kind of get farmers that value. Food security is another big thing which is facing a lot of challenging a lot of countries today, with the whole COVID disrupting supply chain, and now different kinds of conflicts in the world are disrupting different kinds of supply chains. Governments are very worried that how can they ensure that there is a continuous supply of food within their supply chain. So India, of course, is a large agricultural country, and we are fairly well sufficient, but not all countries are fortunate like that. So we work with agencies and governments to also tell them what is the likely produce for which crop, where is it growing, with a regional intelligence, and help them overcome some of these challenges also.
You spoke about CropIn Intelligence. Can you also elaborate about the CropIn Hub and CropIn Cloud? How?
Yes. So, like I told you, we started 10 years back to digitize farming operations with a product called Smart Farm, which is now called CropIn Grow. Over a period of time, we started building layers of intelligence using satellite data and weather data. Last year, we launched something called CropIn Cloud, which allowed us to serve different kinds of customers in very different ways. So basically, what we did was, CropIn Cloud consists of 3 layers. It is the application layer, there is the data layer, and there is the intelligence layer. Now, the application layer consists of products like CropIn Grow, which allows companies to manage farming operations, CropIn Connect to engage the farmers directly, and CropIn Trace for traceability. Think of these as applications which can collect data from the farms. Now, that is the baseline for building any application or intelligence, because data is the most critical factor to do this. As we build data, a lot of companies now have their own applications, right? And they do not want to use this application, for example, but they are very interested in data and intelligence. So CropIn Cloud allows them to use intelligence and plug it directly in their data, in their own application. I'll give you an example. So CropIn Data Hub is a resource which is basically a repository of all data sources, different crops, their growing patterns, weather, satellite imagery, all cleaned, contextualized for machine learning consumption. We use that to build our own AI model. But there are a lot of companies who are building their own AI models. They can consume this data. Let's say you want cloud-free imagery. Today, cloud-free imagery is a problem, right? Because satellite imagery, when covered by cloud, you don't know what's below that. So we have built those algorithms to clean that. Now, customers don't need to do that again. They can just consume that data from our side using APIs. So they can use data. Also, I'll just finish this. Also, a lot of customers, especially outside of India, they have sensors like soil sensors, weather stations. So we can consume data into Data Hub using that, and they can build intelligence.
My last question is that CropIn has around 13 years of journey. So the entire transformation, how technology is going to change the agriculture sector in next 1 decade?
Yes, that's a very interesting question, because we are seeing stars getting aligned in 2 or 3 ways. We are seeing satellite technology develop very, very granularly. Today we have satellite which are giving daily passes on 3x3 meter. We'll very soon see the launch of hyperspectral satellite. If we are able to measure 25 to 30 parameters today, we'll be able to do 200 to 400 parameters with hyperspectral satellites. So we'll be able to get a lot more data. Obviously, now agriculture is also reaching a point where we have some historical data. So our AI algorithms are getting more smarter because we have the last 30-40 years, 3-4 decades of data. So we are building more intelligent models. So satellite is getting better. We are getting better weather forecasting. That science is also
better data history.
Yes. So weather is getting better. Satellite imagery is getting better. The models are getting better. So we are developing very precise models. Also, I don't think the answer is only satellite imagery or only sensors. We'll have to have a combination of both of them. So these technologies are now giving inputs into platforms like CropIn to build very precise forecasts, accuracies, for crops. And of course, I think all of this needs to be for climate change, sustainable agriculture, to be able to feed everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure talking to you.
We had Mr. Mohit Pande from CropIn Technology, which is one of the earliest agri-tech companies in India, which is providing technology services to agriculture sector. Thank you so much, Mohit.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure talking to you.